The cargo freighter Steady Dawn moved slowly through the darkness of space. Its old engines made a low humming sound that the crew had learned to ignore long ago. The ship was not pretty or fast, but it was strong and reliable. It carried food, medicine, and supplies to places that needed help. Stood near the front window and watched the stars pass by. She was 32 years old, with short black hair and tired eyes that had seen too much sadness in the galaxy. She worked as a relief coordinator, which meant she helped people after bad things happened to them. Floods, fires, wars, pirates, she had seen it all. Today they were going to Outpost Theta 7. 3 days ago, pirates had attacked the small station. They took everything valuable and left the people with nothing. Many had run away in escape pods. Some had died. The ones who stayed behind were hungry and scared. Captain's voice came through the speaker system. "We arrive in 20 minutes. Prepare your team." Nodded even though the captain could not see her. She turned and walked through the narrow hallways of the ship. Her boots made soft sounds on the metal floor. She found her team waiting in the cargo area. There were 4 of them, all trained to help in emergencies. "The station is mostly empty," told them. "Scanners show maybe 40 life signs. We bring supplies, check for injured people, and leave. Simple job." But knew that jobs were never simple. Something always went wrong. The Steady Dawn connected to the station with a loud clang. The airlock doors opened, and old, stale air rushed out to meet them. It smelled like smoke and fear. Stepped inside first, her flashlight cutting through the darkness. The station was a mess. Broken glass covered the floor. Wires hung from the ceiling like dead snakes. The walls had burn marks from laser fire. Whatever happened here, it had been violent and fast. "Spread out," said quietly. "Find survivors, radio if you need help." Her team moved in different directions, walked alone through the main corridor. She passed empty rooms and broken furniture. She saw toys scattered on the floor and felt her heart grow heavy. Children had lived here. She hoped they had escaped. She turned a corner and found herself in what used to be a nursery. The room was large, with small beds lined against the walls. Colorful pictures were painted on the ceiling, showing planets and stars and happy alien faces. But now everything was broken and covered in dust. Was about to leave when she heard something, a small sound like a tiny breath. She stopped and listened. There it was again, coming from the corner of the room. She walked slowly toward a pile of broken furniture. Pieces of a shelf had fallen against the wall, creating a small dark space underneath. Knelt down and pointed her flashlight into the gap. 2 enormous eyes stared back at her. His breath caught in her throat. It was a child. A child. There were a species that looked like small foxes with silver-blue fur and very large ears. They were known for being sensitive and emotional. Their ears could hear heartbeats from far away. This child was tiny, maybe 3 or 4 years old in human terms. Their fur was dirty and matted. Their big eyes were filled with terror. "Hello," said softly. She did not reach toward the child, she just stayed still. "My name is, I am here to help." The child did not move, did not speak, just stared at her with those huge, frightened eyes. Sat down on the cold floor, crossing her legs. She was not in a hurry. She had learned long ago that scared children needed time, not force. "I work on a ship," she continued, keeping her voice gentle. "We bring food and medicine to people who need it. Are you hungry? I have food." She slowly reached into her pocket and pulled out a small protein bar. She placed it on the ground between them and pushed it forward a little. The child's eyes moved to the food, then back to, still, they did not move. Minutes passed, did not speak again. She just sat there, breathing slowly, trying to seem as harmless as possible. The child's ears twitched, listening to her heartbeat. Could tell when someone was lying or dangerous by the sound of their heart. Finally, a small voice came from the darkness. "You will leave." Blinked what? "You will leave," the child repeated. Their voice was rough, like they had been crying for days. Everyone leaves, you will too. Felt something break inside her chest. Such young words, but so old and tired. This child had been hurt before, many times. "What is your name?" asked. Silence, then very quietly. Repeated, "That is a beautiful name. I am not going to grab you or force you to come out. I am just going to sit here for a while. Is that okay?" Did not answer, but they also did not tell her to go away. So sat. The floor was cold and hard. Her back started to hurt. She heard her team talking on the radio, finding other survivors loading supplies. She should go help them. She had work to do. But she stayed. An hour passed. Watched her the entire time, waiting for her to leave. Waiting for her to prove that adults always go away in the end. Did not move. Her radio crackled. "We are almost done. Where are you?" She pressed the button and spoke quietly. "Nursery section. I found a child, going to need more time." "A child? Should we call the registry?" "Not yet, give me more time." She put the radio away and looked back at. The protein bar was gone. She had not seen the child take it, but it was not there anymore. Good. At least they had eaten something. Said, "I know you think I will leave. I know other people have left you before. I cannot change what happened in the past, but I can tell you what I am doing right now. And right now I am sitting here with you." His ears pressed flat against their head. Their voice came out broken like shattered glass. "The others said that too. They said they would stay. They said they would come back. They always lie. They always leave." Tears ran down the child's furry face. Felt her own eyes grow wet. "I am not going to promise you anything," said. "I know promises do not mean much to you anymore, so I will not make them. I will just be here, okay? I will just keep being here." She did not know how long they sat like that. The station was cold and dark. Her team finished their work and waited for her on the ship. Captain sent messages asking what was taking so long, but did not move. Finally, when the station's emergency lights flickered on for their nightly cycle, a small figure crawled out from under the broken furniture. Moved slowly, like a wounded animal expecting to be hit. They stopped a few feet away from shaking. Opened her arms but did not reach forward. She let choose. For a long moment nothing happened. Then slowly walked into her arms and pressed against her chest. The child was so small, so thin. Could feel their little heart beating fast against her own. "I have you," whispered. "I have you." Did not say anything. They just held on tight, as if might disappear if they let go. And in the dark, broken nursery of an abandoned station, something began. Not trust. Trust would take much longer than one night. But something. A tiny seed, planted in frozen ground, waiting to see if it would be allowed to grow. Stood up carefully, holding against her shoulder, and walked back toward the ship. Whatever came next, she would face it. But she was not leaving this child behind. Not today, not ever. The steady dawn continued its journey through space, stopping at damaged colonies and broken stations to deliver supplies. Life on the ship moved in a steady rhythm. Wake up, work, eat, sleep, repeat. The crew knew their jobs and did them well. But now there was something new on the ship, something small and scared and silver blue. Stayed in its room. It was a tiny space with a narrow bed, a small desk, and a window that showed the stars outside. Had put a soft blanket in the corner, thinking might like their own space. But every night she woke up to find the small cub pressed against her back, holding onto her shirt with tiny claws. The first week was hard. Did not speak much. They ate very little. They flinched at loud sounds and hid under the bed when strangers walked by. The crew tried to be friendly, but just stared at them with huge, empty eyes. Captain called to his office on the 8th day. He was an older man with gray hair and a face full of wrinkles from years of worry. He cared about his crew, but he also had to think about the ship. "The Galactic Orphan Registry sent a message," he said. "They are looking for placement for the child. A colony on the outer planets has space. Stood very still. How soon? They want to pick the child up at our next major stop, 10 days from now. 10 days. Hands made fists at her sides. That is not enough time, is not ready. They barely trust me. Sending them to strangers will break them. Sighed, he looked tired. I understand, but we are a cargo ship, not a nursery. We do not have the right food for cubs. We do not have doctors who understand their biology. The registry says human bonds are not optimal. The child needs their own kind. The child needs someone who will not leave them, said sharply. The captain was quiet for a long moment. Then he nodded slowly. I will ask the registry for more time, but I cannot promise anything. You have maybe a few weeks, use them well. Thanked him and returned to her room. She found sitting on the bed, ears pressed flat, eyes wet with tears. You were talking about me, whispered. I heard my name. His heart sank. Ears could hear conversations through walls. She had forgotten. She sat down on the bed, leaving space between them. Yes, the captain and I were talking about you. They want to send me away. It was not a question. There are people who want to find you a home, said carefully. A place where you can live with other. Small body started to shake. I do not want to go. They will leave me too. Everyone leaves. My parents left. The colony left. Merchant left. Everyone. Felt cold. Merchant. The story came out slowly in pieces over the next few hours. Sat and listened, never interrupting, never pushing. Talked and cried and talked some more. His parents had been poor. They owed money to dangerous people. When was very young, barely old enough to walk, the parents sold the cub to pay their debts. They simply handed their child to strangers and walked away without looking back. The strangers brought to a foster colony. It was an ugly place, crowded and cold, where too many children fought for too little food. But at least there were others. At least was not alone. They made friends. They started to feel safe. Then the colony closed. The government said there was no more money. One morning, officials came and took all the children away. They were separated and sent to different places. Never saw their friends again. A merchant named took next. He was not cruel, but he was not kind either. He needed a small helper for his shop. Worked hard, hoping that if they were good enough, useful enough, would keep them. One day left for a supply run. He said he would return in 3 days. 3 days turned into a week. A week turned into a month. He never came back. Waited alone in the empty shop until officials found them and brought them to Outpost Theta 7. And then the pirates came. I hid, whispered. I hid under the broken things and I did not move. I heard people screaming. I heard the fires. I stayed very quiet and very still. And then everyone was gone and I was alone again. Did not speak. There were no words for this kind of pain. She just opened her arms and this time crawled into them immediately, sobbing against her chest. Why does everyone leave? Cried. What is wrong with me? Why does nobody want to stay? There is nothing wrong with you, said fiercely. Nothing. The people who left you were broken, not you. You are good and brave and strong. You survived things that would destroy most adults. There is nothing wrong with you. She held the cub until the tears stopped, until the small body went limp with exhaustion, until fell asleep in her arms, still holding onto her shirt. That night made a decision. She sent a message to the Galactic Orphan Registry. She asked to become temporary guardian. She asked for more time. She asked them to wait before sending the cub to another set of strangers. The response came 2 days later. They would allow it for now. But they warned her that human bonds rarely worked. That would need special care that could not provide. That eventually the cub would have to go somewhere else. Did not care about eventually. She cared about now. The days passed and slowly, very slowly, began to change. The cub still did not trust easily. They still flinched at sudden movements and woke up screaming from nightmares. But they also started to eat more. They started to explore the ship, always staying within sight of. They started to ask questions. Why do humans have such small ears? Why does the engine make that sound? Why is space so dark? Answered every question patiently. She showed how the ship worked. She introduced the Cub to crew members, one at a time, letting decide who they wanted to talk to. She read stories at night, silly stories about brave animals and magical planets. But never fully relaxed. Every time left the room, even for a few minutes, the Cub's ears would track her footsteps. Every time talked to another crew member, watched with anxious eyes, waiting for the moment when would choose someone else. One evening, found sitting by the window, staring at the stars. "What are you thinking about?" she asked. Did not look away from the window. "I am trying to remember their faces." "Whose faces?" "My parents. I cannot remember them anymore. I try, but they are just shapes in my head. No eyes, no mouths, just shapes." Sat down beside the Cub. "Does that make you sad?" "I do not know," said quietly. "I think it should make me sad, but mostly I just feel empty, like there is a hole inside me where something used to be." Put her arm around small shoulders. "Holes can be filled, little one. It takes time, but they can be filled with new things, new memories, new people." Finally looked at her. Those huge eyes were so old, so tired, so scared. What if the new things leave too? Then the hole gets bigger, that is the risk. Paused. But what if they do not leave? What if they stay? Then the hole gets smaller, that is also possible. Thought about this for a long time. Then very softly they leaned against the side. "I want to believe you," whispered. "I want to believe you so much." "You do not have to believe me yet," said. "Just watch, just wait, and see what happens." Outside the window, the stars continued their endless dance. The ship hummed its quiet song. And somewhere in the cold darkness of space, a small cub and a human woman sat together, not quite trusting, not quite hopping, but not quite alone either. It was a start. The emergency alarm cut through the ship like a knife. Red lights flashed in the corridors. Crew members ran to their stations. Woke instantly, her training taking over before her mind was fully awake. Was already sitting up in bed, ears pressed flat, eyes wide with terror. The Cub had heard the alarm before anyone else. "Stay here," said quickly. "I will find out what is happening." She ran to the bridge, where Captain stood staring at a screen full of data. His face was pale. "Mining Colony 9, he said without looking at her. "Viral outbreak, 30,000 workers. Quarantine in place, but their medical staff is overwhelmed. They are requesting emergency assistance." Stomach dropped. "How bad?" "Bad. Mortality rate of 15% so far. They need doctors, nurses, anyone with medical training." Finally turned to look at her. "You are our best medic. You have epidemic response training. They specifically asked for you." She understood what he was not saying. She had to go. She had no choice. People were dying. "But how long?" she asked. "Unknown. The quarantine could last days or weeks. You would have to stay until it is lifted." Days or weeks, away from the ship, away from the Cub who believed everyone would leave, the Cub who was just starting to trust her. "I will go," said. Her voice did not shake, but her heart did. She walked back to her room slowly, trying to find the right words. There were no right words, she knew that, but she had to try. Was exactly where she had left them, sitting on the bed, wrapped in a blanket, shaking slightly. When entered, the Cub's ears tracked her every movement. "Something bad happened," said. It was not a question. Sat down on the bed. "Yes, there is a sickness at a mining colony. Many people are very ill, they need help." His eyes grew even wider. "You are going." "I have to. I am a medic. Helping sick people is my job. If I do not go, more people will die." The Cub's breathing became fast and shallow. Their small hands gripped the blanket so tight that their claws tore through the fabric. "No, no, no, no. You cannot go. You cannot leave me. You said you would stay. You said you would be here." "You are lying," screamed. The sound was raw and broken, filled with years of pain. "Everyone lies, everyone says they will stay and then they leave. Merchant said 3 days. The colony said they would take care of us. My parents said they would come back. Everyone lies." The cub threw themselves at, small fists hitting her chest, tears streaming down their face. "I hate you. I hate you. You are just like everyone else. You are leaving and you will never come back." Let the hits come. They did not hurt, not physically, but each word was like a knife in her heart. She waited until ran out of energy, until the screams turned to sobs, until the hitting turned to desperate clinging. Then she spoke. "Look at me." The cub would not look up, gently lift its chin until their eyes met. "I am going to that colony," she said. Her voice was calm and strong. "I am going to help people who are dying, and then I am going to come back. I am going to walk onto this ship, find you, and we are going to eat dinner together." "You are lying," whispered, but there was less certainty now. "I have never lied to you, not once have I." The cub did not answer. "When I found you on the station, did I grab you and force you to come out?" Small shake of the head. "When the registry wanted to send you away immediately, did I let them?" Another small shake. "When you have nightmares, who is there when you wake up?" "You," whispered. "Every single time, every single night. I have been here, I have not left, and I am not leaving now. I am going somewhere, yes, but I am coming back." Reached into her pocket and pulled out her personal communication device. It was old and scratched, with a cracked screen and a dent on one corner. She had carried it since her first assignment years ago. It was the most precious thing she owned. "Take this," she said, pressing it into small hands. "This is mine, my personal comm. You can call me anytime, every hour if you need to, and I promise you I will answer, no matter what I am doing, no matter how tired I am. If you call, I will answer." Stared at the device. "But this is yours." "Yes, and now you are holding it, which means I have to come back to get it, right?" It was a simple logic, maybe too simple, but saw something flicker in his eyes, a tiny spark of something that might have been hope. "You promise?" His voice was barely a breath. "I promise." "Promises do not mean anything." "Then watch my actions. Watch what I do, count the days, and when I walk back onto this ship you will know that I kept my word." Hugged the cub tight, memorizing the feeling of that small body against her chest. She did not know how long the quarantine would last. She did not know if she would get sick herself. There were so many unknowns. But she knew one thing for certain: she was coming back. The shuttle left 2 hours later. Watched through the window as the steady dawn grew smaller and smaller until it was just another point of light among the stars. Her chest hurt. Her eyes burned. But she did not cry. She had work to do. The mining colony was worse than she expected. The virus spread fast and hit hard. Workers lay in rows of beds, coughing and burning with fever. The local medical staff had been working for days without sleep. They looked at like she was an angel sent from heaven. She got to work immediately. She triaged patients, administered medicine, set up quarantine zones. She worked 18 hours a day, stopping only when her body refused to continue. She slept on a cot in the corner of the medical bay, surrounded by the sounds of suffering. And every time her comm device buzzed, she answered. His voice was always small and scared. "I am here, little one. You are still alive. Still alive, still working, still planning to come back." Sometimes called every hour, sometimes every 2 hours. Once, during a particularly bad night, the cub called 12 times between sunset and sunrise. Answered every single time, even when she was so tired she could barely speak. The other medical workers noticed. They saw her interrupt important tasks to answer a calm call. They saw her whisper gentle words to someone far away while patients waited. One doctor, an older woman named, finally asked about it. Who keeps calling you? My child said. Then she paused, surprised by her own words. She had never called that before, but it felt right. Smiled sadly. They must miss you. They are scared I will not come back. Everyone else in their life has left them. I am trying to prove that I am different. By answering every call. By keeping every promise, no matter how small. The days crawled by. The death count rose, then slowed, then finally began to fall. New medicine arrived from the central planets. The quarantine held. Slowly, painfully, the colony began to heal. On the 9th day, was cleared to leave. She did not wait for the official shuttle. She found a supply ship heading toward the steady Dawn's location and begged for a ride. The pilot looked at her exhausted face and did not ask questions. The entire journey held her comm device in her hand, waiting for it to buzz again, but had stopped calling 12 hours ago. The crew had sent a message saying the cub had stopped eating, had stopped speaking, had just curled up in its bed and stared at the wall. Please hold on, I am coming. The supply ship docked with the steady Dawn, ran through the airlock before the doors were fully open. She ran through the corridors, past surprised crew members, past Captain who tried to say something to her. She burst into her room and stopped. Was there, wrapped in its jacket, looking so small and so broken. The cub did not move when the door opened, did not react at all. The ears twitched. Slowly, so slowly, those enormous eyes turned toward the door. They were dull and empty, like all the light had gone out of them. Then saw her, really saw her. And the light came back. You came back, the cub whispered. Crossed the room in 3 steps and gathered into her arms. The cub clung to her so tight it was hard to breathe. I told you I would. I wanted to believe. I tried so hard to believe. But the days kept passing and you were not here and I thought. I know, pressed her face against fur. I know, but I am here now. I came back. I will always come back. They held each other for a long time, both crying, both shaking. The comm device sat on the bed between them, its cracked screen reflecting the light from the stars outside. Had kept her promise, and somewhere deep inside, a wall began to crack. The days after his return were different. Something had changed between them, something quiet and deep. Still had nightmares, still flinched at sudden sounds, still watched with careful eyes whenever she left the room. But now there was something else underneath all that fear. Belief, small and fragile but real. Noticed it in little ways. Started waiting for her at mealtimes instead of hiding under the bed. The cub began asking questions about her work, about the sick people she had helped, about whether they were getting better. And sometimes, not often but sometimes, would laugh at something funny. A real laugh, bright and sudden, like sunlight breaking through clouds. Each laugh was a gift, treasured everyone. The steady Dawn continued its route, stopping at colonies and stations that needed supplies. Went back to her normal work, but she made sure to include whenever possible. The cub learned how to sort medical supplies, how to read shipping labels, how to pack boxes for delivery. Small tasks, simple tasks, but they gave something to do besides worry. The crew began to accept the little as one of their own. Engineer, a big man with gentle hands, taught how the engines worked. Navigator let the cub sit in her chair and showed them how to read star maps. Cook made special meals that could eat, researching their dietary needs with careful attention. But it was who always returned to, always. One evening, 3 weeks after the quarantine ended, found drawing pictures at the small desk in their room. The cub had found some paper and colored markers somewhere. Did not ask where. What are you drawing? She asked, sitting down on the bed. Held up the paper. It showed 2 figures standing together. One was tall with short black hair. The other was small with silver blue fur and big ears. They were holding hands. Above them, yellow and orange shapes represented stars. It is us, said, on the ship together. Felt her throat tighten. It is beautiful. I want to put it on the wall so I can see it when I wake up. Paused, ears twitching nervously. Is that okay? Of course it is okay. This is your room too now. Something flickered across face, hope mixed with fear mixed with disbelief. My room. Our room, yours and mine, for as long as you want it to be. Was quiet for a long moment. Then very carefully they stood up and stuck the picture to the wall beside the bed. They stared at it, tilting their head from side to side, making sure it was straight. There, the cub said softly, now it is real. Did not fully understand what that meant, but she knew it was important. She let have the moment without interrupting. That night for the first time did not cling to her while sleeping. The cub still slept close, still reached out a small paw to touch's arm, but there was less desperation in it, less fear that she would disappear. Progress, slow and small but real. The message from Captain came the next morning. Come to my office, we need to talk. She knew that tone. Something was wrong. She told to stay in the room and walked quickly to the captain's quarters. Was sitting behind his desk, looking older than usual. A holographic display floated in front of him, showing official documents covered in stamps and signatures. The Galactic Orphan Registry sent their final decision, he said without greeting her. They found a placement for. His blood went cold. What? A family on Colony 3. Bonded pair, both professionals, excellent reputation. They have raised 3 other foster children successfully. The registry says it is an ideal match. Ideal match. The words tasted bitter in his mouth. They have never met. They do not know anything about what that child has been through. They have read the reports. They are prepared to provide specialized care. Psychology experts, proper dietary support, environmental adjustments, sighed heavily. You know I care about that cub. The whole crew does. But the registry is right about one thing. We are a cargo ship. We cannot give what a real family can. I am a real family. The words hung in the air between them, had not planned to say them. But now that they were out, she realized they were true. She did not just care about, she loved them, like her own child. Looked at her with sad eyes. The registry does not recognize human bonds. Their experts say cross-species adoption creates attachment problems. They say needs their own kind. Their own kind abandoned them. Multiple times, every inch life has left. I am the only one who stayed. I know, and I told the registry that, but they have rules, procedures. They say we have 2 weeks to deliver to Colony 3. If we refuse, they will send an official ship to take custody. 2 weeks, 14 days. Felt like the floor was falling away beneath her feet. What are my options? She asked, her voice barely steady. You could apply for legal guardianship. It would require hearings, evaluations, mountains of paperwork. And even then, the odds are against you. Human guardianship has only been approved 3 times in the history of the registry. 3 times means it is possible. 3 times out of thousands of applications. I am not saying do not try. I am saying be realistic about what you are facing. Nodded slowly. Her mind was racing, thinking through possibilities, making plans. I need to tell. That might not be wise. The cub is fragile. This news could. Deserves to know. They have spent their whole life being moved around without anyone asking what they want. I will not do that to them. She left the captain's office and walked back to her room. Each step felt heavier than the last. How was she supposed to explain this? How was she supposed to tell that everything they had built together might be torn apart? The door slid open. Was sitting on the bed, holding the cracked comm device, staring at the picture on the wall. I heard Captain say my name, the cub said quietly, on the internal speakers. You were in his office talking about me. Ears kept forgetting. She sat down beside, leaving space between them. Yes, we were talking about you. They found someone else to take me. His voice was flat, empty, like all the progress of the last weeks had drained away in an instant. A family wants to adopt you. The registry thinks it would be good for you. What do you think? Was quiet for a moment, choosing her words carefully. I think you have spent your whole life being told what is good for you by people who do not know you. I think the registry has rules and procedures, but rules cannot measure what is in someone's heart. I think. She paused, took a breath. I think I love you, and I do not want you to go. The cub's ears twitched. You love me. Yes. But I am difficult. I wake up screaming. I get scared of everything. I said I hated you. I hit you. I am broken. You are not broken. His voice was fierce. You are hurt. There is a difference. Hurt things can heal, and you have been healing every day a little bit more. I have seen it. What if the registry makes me go? Then I will fight them. I will file paperwork and go to hearings and argue with every official I can find. I will do everything in my power to keep you with me. Reached out and took small paw in her hand. But I need you to understand something. If I fail, if they take you anyway, it will not be because I stopped trying. It will not be because I left. Do you understand? Even if we are separated, I will not stop fighting to get you back. Stared at her for a long time. The cub's eyes were wet, but they were also seeing something, measuring something. All those years of broken promises and abandoned hopes weighed against this one human who kept showing up. You mean it, whispered. You really mean it. Yes. How do I know? You do not for certain. You just have to decide whether to trust me, squeezed the small paw gently. But you have been watching me for weeks now. You have seen what I do. You have seen me come back from the quarantine. You have seen me answer every call. What does your heart tell you? The cub was silent. Their ears rotated, listening to his heartbeat, listening for lies, finding none. Then climbed into his lap and pressed against her chest, just like they had done that first night on the abandoned station. My heart says stay, whispered. My heart says you are different. My heart says trust. Wrapped her arms around the cub and held on tight. Then trust, she said, and let me fight for you. Outside the window, the stars wheeled slowly past. Somewhere out there, a family was preparing a room for a child they had never met. Somewhere, registry officials were stamping documents and filing reports. But in this small room on this old ship, a human and a cub held each other close and refused to let go. The fight was coming, but tonight they had each other. That was enough. The registry ship arrived exactly on schedule. It was a sleek government vessel, white and silver, much newer and cleaner than the steady Dawn. It docked with mechanical precision, and within minutes officials were walking through the airlock. The leader was a tall named counselor. They had 4 arms, compound eyes, and a way of speaking that sounded like clicking mixed with words. Was not unkind. They were simply efficient. To them was a case file, a problem to be solved, a child to be placed in the optimal environment according to data and algorithms. Captain met them in the main corridor, stood beside him holding his hand. The cub was shaking but refused to hide. That alone showed how much had changed. Counselor said politely, "Welcome aboard the Steady Dawn. Captain, we appreciate your cooperation during this process." His compound eyes shifted to look at him. The child appears healthy. Good. The transfer should proceed smoothly. Before any transfer happens, said, keeping her voice steady, I want to formally request a custody hearing. I have the right to petition for guardianship. Made a clicking sound that might have been surprise. You are aware that human guardianship applications have a success rate of less than 1%. I am aware. You are aware that our psychological experts consider cross-species bonding to be developmentally suboptimal for children. I am aware of what your experts say. I'm not sure they are correct. Tilted their head, studying her. You are emotional, that is understandable. Humans form attachments easily, but the child's welfare must come first. We have identified an excellent family on Colony 3. 2 bonded partners, stable income, extensive experience with foster children, Every metric indicates this placement would be ideal. Every metric except the one that matters most. And what metric is that? Look down at, then back at, ask the child. The counselor made another clicking sound. Children do not always know what is best for them. No, but they know what they feel. They know who makes them feel safe. They know who has been there for them. His grip tightened on his hand. Your metrics did not see this child hiding alone in a destroyed station for days. Your metrics did not hold them through nightmares. Your metrics did not answer 17 calls in 12 hours during a quarantine. I did. Was quiet for a moment. The other officials behind them shifted uncomfortably. Very well, the counselor said finally. We will conduct an informal interview with the child. If the child expresses a clear preference for remaining with you, we will consider it in our final decision. But I warn you, the weight of evidence is strongly against human guardianship. They moved to the ship's small meeting room, was asked to wait outside while spoke with Alone. She stood in the corridor, her heart pounding, her hands making fists at her sides. Captain stood with her. The crew had gathered too. Engineer, navigator, cook, all of them waiting, all of them worried. She will be okay, said quietly. That cub is stronger than any of us expected. What if it is not enough? What if decides the metrics matter more than what wants? Then we will figure something out. We are a crew, we do not abandon our own. The minutes stretched into eternities, could hear nothing through the thick door. She could only imagine what was happening inside. Small and scared, facing an alien official who saw them as nothing but data points. Please, she thought, please let them see the truth. The door opened. Emerged first, their compound eyes unreadable. Behind them came, walking slowly, head down. His heart stopped. Had they failed? Had the cub been convinced that the family was the better choice? Had all their progress been erased by one conversation with an official who knew nothing about love? Then looked up, and saw something in those enormous eyes that she had never seen before. Defiance. The child has expressed their preference, said. Their voice sounded different now, less certain. They were quite emphatic. Walked past without looking at them. The cub crossed the corridor to where stood and stopped directly in front of her. I told them about you, said. Their voice was small but steady. I told them about the station, about how you waited, about how you did not grab me or force me. I told them about the quarantine, about how you answered every call. I told them about the nightmares and how you are always there when I wake up. The cub turned to face and the other officials. Their ears were flat with fear, but they did not back down. You have metrics, said. You have data. You have experts who say things should be a certain way. But you do not know what it is like to be left. You do not know what it is like to watch everyone walk away. You do not know what it is like to wait and wait and wait for someone who never comes back. His voice cracked, but they kept going. She stayed. When I screamed at her, she stayed. When I told her I hated her, she stayed. When I hit her with my fists, she stayed. When the whole galaxy told her to give up on me, she stayed. She is the only one in my entire life who has never left. The cub turned back too, tears streaming down their silver-blue fur. You want to know my preference? My preference is her, not because she is the optimal choice, not because the data says so. Because when everyone else in the universe left me alone in the dark, she was the one who sat down on the cold floor and waited. She is the one who gave me her most precious thing so I would know she was coming back. She is the one who fights for me even when the fight is impossible. Reached up and took his hand. I do not need optimal, I do not need metrics. I need her. I choose her. And if you take me away, I will find my way back. Because she is my family. She is my home. And nothing in your data can measure what that means. The corridor was silent. No one moved, no one breathed. Counselor stood very still, their compound eyes fixed on the small cub who had just everything the registry believed. Then slowly reached up and pressed a button on their communication device. Registry headquarters. This is Counselor. Case number 7749 Alpha regarding the minor designated. Held her breath. After conducting an in-person evaluation, I am recommending that guardianship be granted to the human applicant of the vessel Steady Dawn. The child has demonstrated a clear, stable attachment bond that supersedes our standard cross-species protocols. I am invoking exception clause 17b, citing extraordinary circumstances and the expressed preference of the minor. Legs nearly gave out. She heard the crew behind her gasp and cheer. She saw Captain wipe his eyes with the back of his hand. But all she could focus on was looking up at her with those huge eyes, finally believing. "You did it," whispered. "You fought for yourself." "I learned from you," said. "You taught me that staying is a choice, that love is not about what you are, it is about what you do. It is about showing up again and again, even when it is hard." Dropped to her knees and pulled the cub into her arms. She was crying now, ugly crying, the kind she had not done since she was a child herself. "I am so proud of you," she said into his fur, so proud. "Does this mean I can stay?" "Yes, little one, you can stay, forever if you want. Forever is a long time." "I know, and I will be here for every single day of it." Around them, the crew of the Steady Dawn gathered close. Engineer ruffled his fur. Navigator laughed through her tears. Cook announced that they were having a special dinner tonight, the biggest feast the ship had ever seen. Counselor watched all of this with their unreadable compound eyes, but just before they turned to leave, saw something that might have been respect in the way they inclined their head. "Take care of each other," said. "You have something rare, do not waste it." Then the registry officials were gone, their sleek ship undocking and disappearing into the stars. And the Steady Dawn continued on its journey, carrying its crew of misfits and helpers through the endless dark. That night after the feast, after the celebrations, and sat together by the window in their room, the stars drifted past, countless and eternal. Said quietly, "Yes, I am going to be scared for a long time. Sometimes I will still think you are going to leave. Sometimes I will wake up crying and checking that you are real. Is that okay?" Smiled and pulled the cub closer. "That is okay. Healing takes time. There will be bad days and good days, but I will be here for all of them." "Promise." "Promise." Was quiet for a moment, then, "Yes. I love you." It was the first time the cub had said those words. They came out shy and uncertain, like a question that was afraid of its own answer. Felt her heart overflow. "I love you too, more than all the stars in the sky." The cub made a small sound, something between a laugh and a sob, and burrowed deeper into his arms. And in the vast, cold darkness of space, where so many were lost and alone, one small family held each other close and proved what humans had always known, but the galaxy often forgot. Love is not about what you are. It is about who stays. And would stay, forever and always, through nightmares and healing, through fears and triumphs, through all the long days ahead. Because that is what family does. That is what humans do. They stay.